Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we are going to be diving into every yellow card from the Kaiju 8 set. Should have the green full set breakdown up on the channel, so if you guys want to go check that out, definitely do. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching, and let's go ahead and dive into it. So yeah, the yellow Kaiju 8 set is looking pretty strong. Two really strong decks that you may or may not be able to do like a combination of deck mixing with. But you're going to have one deck completely based around Mina, essentially, and Bako, her tiger. Really cool deck, allowing you to do some things like locking your opponent's card with board freezing, attacking from the energy line. Really good energy generation as well, even though your highest cost card in the deck is just this one raid card. Yeah, really strong deck all around with a lot of cool utilities. And again, it's yellow, so if you don't know, the best color trigger in the game, so that definitely helps. And then the other deck being focused around Kikoru and Reno here. You're gonna have two raid cards for it, and a really interesting set where it's a lot of cards that are gonna be based around being a 3 cost, even though you do have this 1 4 cost raid Kikoru. But yeah, it's really cool. A lot of like board rushing, setting cards to active. This really cool event card that you can play into the deck where you are actually, where is it? This really cool event card where you're actually able to search the top 4 cards of your deck, and then you can actually raid a card out of them or play it set to resting. And as you're going to see with a lot of different characters in this deck, you're actually getting abilities by playing that card off of an effect from like a site, an event card like this, or a character ability. So yeah, really interesting new way to play. Again, board rushing like crazy, especially with it being like a 3 cost maximum. And yeah, all around a really strong looking color here. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive right into it, boys. So starting it out with the Mina set here, we're going to have the main big raid card here, 5 cost Mina. If you have Bako on the same line as this character, it's going to have impact. And then when played, you get to choose one character on your opponent's front line, switch to resting. And then an insane ability here, active main, if on the front line once per turn, choose one resting character on your opponent's front line. It gains this character, remains set to resting the next time it would be switched to active. So we're going to have a few other cards in the deck where we can actually rest our opponent's characters, but definitely the best play with this card is obviously to play it and then use the active main, if on the front line once per turn ability, to sticky rest the character that we rested. And then yeah, with a whole bunch of other ways to rest our opponent's cards and essentially get off like 5 attacks since we're attacking from the energy line, or more potentially. It's going to be some pretty devastating turns, no question. The raid from life trigger as well, which is going to be pretty solid if you do need to do like a defensive when played, rest a card that was going to attack, essentially. Could be pretty strong. You do kind of like lose the one played rest into the active main the next turn, but if you do have a way to rest your opponent's card, it is nice that you still have this active main to hit the sticky rest. And again, it's going to be like the only 5 cost in the entire deck with a lot of energy generation, double energy generation. So yeah, it's gonna be really easy to get out and play into some really cool turns. The other Mina card in the deck that's going to be really strong is this 4 cost 2 action point. Play this character set to active. When she's played on the energy line, she actually gains this character can attack from the energy line until the end of the turn, which is really nice because you can have 4 attackers on the front line and then just play her on the energy line ready to attack. And again, with a bunch of double energy generators in the deck, we're going to be able to play this 4 cost on the energy line pretty easily. With there also being a double energy generator. And then active main once per turn, you can actually choose another character on your field and give it 1000 BP till the end of the turn. And then when attacking, if you have Bako on the same line as her, you get to draw up to 1 card. With the add to hand trigger, 4k BP, this is going to be such a nice card to slap down and just really pressure your opponent with. It's so nice having these cards that attack from the energy line too, so that if we are attacking with our frontline characters first, let's say we accidentally swing into a special or, I don't know, maybe a yellow trigger where they're going to sticky rest us, our energy line character is not susceptible to any of those targets because it has to be something on the front line. So really nice card to have in the deck here, and if you ever need to, after you play her, maybe raid on top of her potentially. Some other Mina cards that you can raid on top of: a 3 cost when played. If Bako is on the same line as this character, you get to choose one character on your opponent's front line and switch it to resting. With the double energy generator, active trigger, one of your other tools to rest your opponent's cards into a sticky rest potentially. And again, since the raid card is an active main once per turn, after she's played, you're going to have multiple turns if she stays alive, or you can get multiple sticky rests off, which could be pretty good. Whereas like with a lot of other sticky rest cards, it's like a when played ability, so the only other way to replicate it is to replay the card. So yeah, pretty strong double energy generator right here. Good raid target, no question. And then a 1-cost Mina, our traditional search 1-cost. When played, look at the top 4. We can reveal 1 Mina or Bako card, put the rest on the bottom of our deck, and then if we did take a card, trash a card. No trigger, but 2k BP, and again, the searches are just pretty solid. If you are just missing that 1 card and then you run into this, helps you dig through the top 4 and find it. So yeah, not bad. Wish it had a trigger, but definitely needed, and a raid target. And then 0-cost Mina, our traditional add to hand 1500 BP. And then we're going to have 2 Bako cards in the deck, and as you can tell from our Mina cards, we're going to want to probably run a 4 of. I mean, 1 because they're good cards, but 2 just so that we can, as often as possible, get those on the same line effects. But yeah, our color trigger for the deck, 3-cost Bako. When played, choose 1 character on your field, move it to the other line. Double energy generator, 3k BP. These when played, choose up to 1 characters and moves ups are really, really nice. We're starting to see them more often, but they're so nice because like we're having to keep cards active on our backline from previous turns in order to play the 3-cost. But with this character, we're able to push the character up and get an extra attack off. So really nice for sort of like, feels like a sort of rush mentality, and again, just not wasting cards sitting on the back line, which is so nice. And also freeing up our back line too for like our Mina who wants to be played on the energy line. Again, playing into some great turns. And then our other Bako card, 4-cost, during your opponent's turn if on the front line. Our Mina cards on the field gain your opponent cannot choose this character with abilities on their character or event cards unless they place a card from their hand into the sideline as an additional cost. You cannot stack this ability, but it's really cool to have like an energy line, double energy generating Bako for our Minas, and then a Bako that we're going to want on the front line protecting our Minas, which is going to be great. He's also a draw trigger with a 4k BP, so yeah, really solid card here just for that extra pressure. Maybe even in some games forcing your opponent to want to just get rid of this Bako card instead of your Mina, sort of like forcing a waste of a removal in your eyes. But either way, yeah, you're going to have a nice Bako to sit on the front line, boosting your Minas. And then there is going to be a raid Soshiro Hoshina that is more intended for this deck that you could definitely run in either one. But again, since the other deck you're trying to mostly run 3-cost cards, there's a good chance that this guy's more ran in this deck than anything. But a great raid card nonetheless, wherever you put him. 4-cost raid. This card cannot be blocked by characters with 3k or less, which is so good. And then when played, draw. So no raid from life, unfortunately, trigger, but it is the add to hand 4k BP. This is such a great card because while 3500s can block him in order to, you know, get sidelined still, 3500 is not a super common number. 3k and less is, though, for sure. So basically this Hoshina in most situations is essentially, if your opponent wants to protect their life, having to block and sideline the character they block with, because if it's a 4k they can actually block but then they get sidelined. If it's a 3500 they actually get sidelined, but they can block. Otherwise, the attacks have to go through. So definitely can play into some really strong turns, especially with the resting with the Mina. You can force rest the cards that were able to block this character, allowing you to now get a free attack through. Again, going to be great, especially the fact that he's a raid card, so we can just play him out that turn and get the attack off. With some also really good Hoshina raid targets, we have a 2-cost active main. If on the front line, switch to resting. We can choose 1 character on our opponent's front line and switch it to resting. So again, as you can see, definitely made more for the Mina build, but so good because we can rest this character and then raid on top of him. So while our opponent is losing a character and getting rested, we're setting our card to active afterward and getting the attack off. And then the last Hoshina raid target, 0-cost, when played, draw a card, trash a card, active trigger 1500, really solid 0-cost, always love running these. And then some really nice looking event cards for the deck. Again, with event cards, you do want to make sure you're prioritizing, you know, having enough character cards, etc. Don't want to have too many event cards because if they do take over your deck, they can make bricking and playing out certain turns a little tougher just because, you know, bodies on the board, energy generation is important. But these do look very strong, and I'm going to consider definitely running at least a couple of some of these. So this is a 4-cost. Now it's time for me to shoot my foe. Choose 1 Mina on your field. It gains 2k BP, and this character can attack from the energy line until the end of the turn. That's pretty crazy. Essentially just allowing you to have an extra attacker that turn on the board. Again, assuming your front line's full, which is probably what you're trying to play out for. And again, wouldn't be surprised if the deck mixing does come out in this, just because you do have characters in the other deck that allow you to get extra characters on the board, even setting them to active. So if you go with like a low cost, like Mina splashing, you're board rushing for your 4 attackers, and then you're also getting your extra Minas on the energy line to attack with. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a thing. But regardless, what's really cool also about this is they get the extra 2k, so you can also buff up your like 2k double energy generator Mina, who is now a 4k energy line attacker, making for, again, some cool turns. The active trigger definitely making this card more runnable, no question. And then our special for the deck is going to be Unleashed Combat Power, 96%. It's going to be our traditional choose a character who's 3k or less and sideline it, but as long as we have Mina on the field, we can target a 5k. Great special trigger, just nothing new. And then our AP restander for the deck, I'm going to mention it because it's Mina. This is who I am right now. There it is. And honestly, as we get into the 3-cost deck, not going to be surprised, at least with the builds I've been kind of dabbling with. You know, you're not going to be running a ton of finals, I feel like, in the other deck. Just saying. So this definitely is more of a Mina card. Obviously, you want to run finals in your decks, but as you're going to see, spamming out bodies is fun. And then definitely a card that is going to be ran in either deck here. 2-cost Accepting Applications. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck. Reveal up to 2 characters and add them to your hand. Place the remaining on the bottom. With a draw trigger, these search cards where you can not just grab 2, but you also don't have to trash anything. So good. I definitely love having these cards. Now, granted, just look at the top 4. You want to make sure that you do have, you want to make sure they're going to be character cards for sure, because whiffing off this would be annoying. Whereas, like, I believe the Esper Sisters search card where you can grab 2 is like a top 7, which is really nice. Regardless, so this is a great card. I'm definitely going to be running some of these. But yeah, I think that's pretty much going to do it for the like Mina-focused cards, the cards that are definitely made for the Mina deck. Again, not going to be surprised if there's some deck mixing between the two, just because there definitely seems to be some opportunities for it. But at the end of the day, want to keep them in their categories when I can. But yeah, with that, let's go ahead and dive into the Kikoru deck here. The Kikoru and Reno deck, but it is her special card, so it is her deck. But yeah, allowing you to get free plays off, cheat bodies out on the board, cheat out action points. It's going to be a good one, I think. But yeah, 4-cost Kikoru. This character gains all the abilities listed below if you have the required number of characters with 3 required energy on the same line. So that is like the thing you're shooting for with this deck. 3 required energy characters. So that's, yeah, keep in mind that's going to be like the main theme, which is why deck mixing might be a little difficult, at least with this one, because you don't want cards to be getting in the way when you're trying to hit a 3-cost all the time. But either way, if you have 1 3-cost required energy character on the same line as her, she's going to have Impact. If you have 2, when attacking, draw up to 1 card. If you have 3 or more, this character gains 1,000 BP. And on top of that, just in general, when she's attacking, you get to choose 1 character on your field and give it 500 BP until the end of the turn. And that's going to be a great ability, just because with a lot of these cards, 3,500 is going to be like a sort of consistent BP that they're going to be hitting. So being able to buff them up to 4Ks whenever she's on the board is going to be definitely what you're aiming for. With the Raid from Life trigger, which is going to be a fantastic trigger to hit if you do see her in life, just because you're not really losing any abilities, you're just getting a free body out, so no question you want to pop that every time. Yeah, great card here, becoming a 5K when you have the 3 all the time. Very nice. And then your color trigger for the deck here, definitely one of the best cards that you want to cheat out whenever you can, and obviously if it's going to roll into more things. 3-cost Kikoru. When played, if it is your turn and this character is played with one of your character, site, or event card abilities, choose up to 1 of your action points and switch it to active. So yeah, obviously color trigger, you're going to want to run her 3,500 raid target, but she's a 3-cost that whenever you do play her for free with one of those abilities that you're going to have, you get to restand 1 of your action points. And as you're going to see with, I believe it's the site, you can literally just use her as an action point restander, essentially. So at any point, restanding your action points, getting a free play is great, but when you can get a free body out and on top of it, get an action point back, great plays coming, no question. And as you can see, 3,500, so if she is attacking alongside up on the front line, you can make her a 4K with the raid. And then we have a 2-cost Kikoru who actually will count as a 3-cost while it's on the field, so effects like your raid and stuff are going to be able to count her as a 3, which is awesome. And then during your turn, if there's another character with 3 required energy on the same line, this character gains 500, making her a 35, with the raid when attacking, making her a 4, hopefully. Draw trigger, raid target, and one of the best things is since we're trying to run a bunch of 3 costs, we're obviously still going to need our ramp for 1s and 2s and 0s, so we're going to have this 2 cost for the ramp that's also going to count as a 3. Just great abilities all around. And then we do have a 1-cost Kikoru, who's our traditional when played, return a character on our field back to our hand. If we can't, we have to return her to our hand, a 1-cost or her. Double energy generator as a 1-cost, but at the end of the day, I don't think we need her, right? I don't know. She's a raid target, sure, but like we're trying to play 3 costs up to 4 costs. I don't think you need to play this card. And then we're also going to have this really, really strong 3-cost Reno Raid who's going to really help this deck flow. So Raid during your turn, if another character with 3 required energy is on the same line, he gains 500, making him a 4K. And then you want to play this guy as much as possible. When played, play up to 1 yellow character with 3 or less required energy and 1 action point from your hand set to resting onto your field. So obviously, you're going to want to use his when played to cheat out really anybody at any point, but those 3-cost abilities. Because again, we're going to have a few in here, like that Mina, where if they are played with a character, site, or event ability, they're going to get an extra effect. And they're usually pretty good, so definitely try to shoot for those. And yeah, he's just going to help this whole deck flow. Him being a 3-cost raid too is so nice. Yeah, great card here. And then we have a 3-cost Reno Raid during your turn. This character gains 500, making him a 4K, 3,500 to a 4K. And then when attacking, you can choose up to 1 character with a required energy of 3 on the same line, and it gains 500. So another character that can help buff your other 35s up to a 4K. It doesn't have a trigger, but definitely a nice card to consider running, considering he's a raid target. And a 3-cost. And then a 1-cost Reno, when played, draw a card, trash a card with a draw trigger, 2k BP. Honestly, I'm probably going to run this card. I mean, he's a raid target. I don't know who's not going to. This is such a good one, honestly, with the draw trigger as well. Very nice, very nice. And then 0-cost Reno, our 2k raid target. He does have the draw trigger, however, but yeah, lots of Reno options to raid on top of. And then before we start diving into the other characters that you're going to want to run, I did just want to throw out this really awesome looking event card here, 3-cost Screening Exam. So you get to look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You can play 1 yellow character with 4 or less required energy and 1 AP among them, set to resting onto the field. Or you can raid with them. Place the remaining cards on the bottom with a draw trigger. So this is definitely going to be an event card that helps the entire deck flow. Being able to get those when played effects off or raid out of the top 4 cards of your deck, going to be really strong. Not to mention we have 2 different raid cards in our deck, so if we do happen to hit a raid target, we just play it set to resting out of the top 4 and then raid on top of it. Such a good event card that's going to really help this deck stand out. On top of this insane sight card that is going to pair really, really well with that Kikoru color trigger. So 2 costs, Defense Forces, Tachikawa base. When played, you get to look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 character with 3 or less required energy among them, add it to your hand, place the remaining on the bottom, and if you did take a card, you have to trash a card. But the best part right here, active main, switch to resting, sideline this card. You get to play 1 character with 3 or less required energy and 1 action point from your hand, set to resting onto the field, getting that free play off with the draw trigger. So what's really cool about that is you don't have to pay an action point in order to do that, but you're still getting to play a character. So while there's going to be plenty of options for this card, the best one is going to be Kikoru, because you can spend an action point for whatever that turn, and then if you have this set up from the previous turn, because it does have to be active, so you can switch it to resting. You switch it to resting, you sideline the card, play the Kikoru, and you did all that for free, but meanwhile, because of her effect, you got to play her for free off of an ability. You get to re-stand an action point. Yeah, this is gonna be a really strong, really fast deck. Really excited to see it in action. I hope it does play out as good as it looks. I'm sure it's going to, especially with all the low costs. It's gonna be fun. And then we do have this other event card here that is definitely intended to help buff your 35s up to 4Ks or even higher. But since you're going for that rush mentality, the stronger the better, right? But yeah, 2 cost, A6, grade marbled Japanese black Wagyu beef. Looks amazing. All characters on the field gain 500 BP till the end of the turn. You do get to draw 2 cards as well, and then trash 1. So, I mean, while it's also a buffing card, it's also a nice little draw card as well. Again, since you're attacking with a lot of 3500s, I wouldn't be surprised if having 1 or 2 of these in your deck, just so they come in clutch on the turns where you're struggling to get a bunch of 4Ks. You just have this to really pressure your opponent. Because if you don't know, in Union Arena, 4K is like the baseline number that you're probably wanting to hit in most games to pressure your opponent so that they can't just block for free, and that you're also able to get over there more than likely 4Ks as well that they have on the board. But yeah, either way, great card to consider adding to the deck to help you in those tough situations, I'd say. And then while we're on the event cards, we'll just finish it up with the special here. 3 cost, Squadron style, Axe technique, number 1, Falling Thunder. choose one character with 2k or less on your opponent's front line, sideline it. But if you have Kikoru on your field, you can actually target a 4k instead. And additionally, if a character with 3 required energy is on your front line, you can target a 5k instead. Few conditions to meet for sure in order to get up to a 5k removal if you need it, but I'll be honest, with how the deck's playing, with how fast it's playing, with you consistently getting what you're getting in most games, should be a pretty easy special to get up to the 5k if you need to. But in general, just Kikoru and you're able to hit a 4k, which is usually what you need. And then there's a couple other characters that you can add to the deck that are going to help you with those free abilities if you do play them with another effect. 3 cost Iharu. When played, choose up to one character on your field. It gains 500 till the end of the turn. And then if this character was played with one of your character side or event abilities, switch it to active. So you can essentially just play him set to active in most situations. Again, he's at 3,500 as well. So in the right games, you're getting him up to a 4k most of the time as well. Active trigger, I'd say this is one of those the next best card that you want to cheat out with those abilities. Because yeah, set to active 4k. I like that. Not to mention, he's buffing another character by 500. Keep in mind, he does have to buff another character, unfortunately. But seems like a deck where these cards are helping each other out a lot. And then 1 cost Iharu with step 2,500, no trigger. Totally up to you if you want to run him, not required. And then 0 cost Iharu with nullify impact, 2k BP. No trigger, but nullify impact can always save you in some games, you never know. And then another card to consider playing with abilities, 3 cost Haruichi. When played, if this character is played with one of your character side or event abilities, you get to draw a card. Draw trigger, 3,500. So again, honestly, if he's your only option because you're just trying to play a card to get, you're not trying to waste the play a free card ability. You want to get the most out of it, and he's your only option. It's still playing a card who's 35 to draw a card. So a great option, I'd say for sure. Might be one that you end up cutting down to 3 or 2 of, but at the end of the day, you want to be cheating out extra effects off of those free plays, so he's the next one to consider. And then 2 cost Haruichi when attacking, draw a card, trash a card. 3k BP with no trigger. Honestly, that's kind of crazy. If you can get him set up early and he's just constantly, when attacking, draw trashing for you with your other buffs in the deck, so he's essentially a 4k in the best games over and over when attacking, draw, and trash. That's not bad, honestly. Wish he had a trigger, but honestly, that's valid. That's valid. No trigger. Valid. And then we've got a pretty strong looking Kafka card here. 3 cost when played. If it is your turn, you can pay an action point. If you do, draw a card, then play up to 1 yellow character with 3 or less required energy. 1 action point from your hand set resting onto the field. So I think this is the last option that we haven't shown in the deck where you can cheat out extra abilities off of this guy. You are having to... It's a when played, so it's the turn you play him. You do have to pay an extra action point, so... It's the least form of cheating out an ability, right? Because a lot of these other cards, you're paying 1 action point and then playing a card, period. With this Kafka, you pay an action point to play him, and then you have the option to pay an additional action point. Still in situations where you are kind of struggling and this is your only option, it is not a bad option by any means because it's still getting those effects off nonetheless because you do need to play those characters with abilities in order to get the effects. Regardless, he's also drawing a card, double energy generator. Good option to consider for sure. I haven't really built too much around him. I haven't tried splashing him in, but now that I look at him, now that I consider him, the no trigger just instantly makes me look at other cards. But regardless, I think he could be something to consider, maybe a 2 of or something. Again, in those situations where he's your only option to get those abilities off, but nonetheless, you're still getting the abilities off. Not a bad card at all, though. And then another 3 cost to consider for the deck, 3 cost Aoi, double blocker, active trigger 3,500, and we've got a few active triggers in this deck, honestly quite a bit. Having a double blocker in the deck, we need 3 cost cards because we want 3 cost cards. Pretty solid. If you don't know in Union Arena, if he's on your front line as a defender and you hit an active trigger, he is now a 6,500 double blocker until the end of the turn. That can be huge in some games. I've seen it in some Code Geass decks, the Demon Slayer Hashira deck. It's kind of can be consistent when you have a lot of active triggers like this, and when it pops, it can be very, very game-changing. So not a bad 3 cost to consider running. And then speaking of active triggers, we do have a 1 cost Aoi. He's just a 1 cost 2,500, but if you're trying to stack up those active triggers, you need the ramp. There's a good option for you. And then we're staying consistent with active triggers. Why not add 0 cost Hakua? When played, you get to choose a character on your field, and it gains 500 BP till the end of the turn. Yeah, again, a 0 cost who's helping us ramp with an active trigger that we might want to stack in for the double block. On top of it all, this is actually a deck where that when played buff, it can be pretty big. There's a lot of cards in Union where there's a lot of I'd say in most decks in Union Arena, there's a 0 cost who's like, when played, buff a card by 1,000 or something. And I try to run it. I like the idea of it, but it's never really like the game changer. This could be a card where, you know, it just happens to get you up to that 4K that really pressures your opponent. So yeah, not a bad idea to run as a 0, I'd say. We do have this really nice looking 0 card here, the Konomi. She doesn't have a trigger, but when played, choose up to 1 character on your field, and again, this character cannot be blocked by a character with 4K or more until the end of the turn. I could see this going into either deck for sure, but just the fact that it's a 0 cost that you just play out, surprise your opponent with, you initially have it in because it's just a 0 to help you ramp, but in the right end games, you're just playing this card down to surprise your opponent, and now one of your characters is just getting the attack through for free. That could be pretty strong. I could see that coming in clutch for sure. Again, the fact that it's a 0 and you just throw it in because you need 0s to play. I like that. I like that. And then some other cards we didn't mention, 2-cost Kafka. This is just our generic. When set to active, he's going to be a double energy generator. Again, a card I don't think either deck is like desperate for. I feel like with this Kafka card, with where is it? This Kikoru card, these early low-cost double energy generating cards that you'll see in every single color in every set, they're really there for like certain situations for sure. And one of the biggest ones for sure is like you have 6 or 7 costs that you're trying to run. But regardless, this deck I don't think either deck is super desperate for those cards. And then we have a 4-cost Tay with Step, Active Trigger, 3,500, double energy generator, which is nice, but I don't know. I don't know where you'd really run this card. Active Triggers, if you're trying to stack those up and you're just looking for a couple cards to add in, 3,500. Just sucks that she's not a 3-cost, obviously. That would be nuts. If she was a 3K 3-cost, this would be a pretty solid looking card. I believe Noelle from Black Clover, the red set, literally looks like that. It's a 3K double energy generator, 3-cost Step, Active Trigger. That would look solid. This though, 4 required energy, 3,500. Just not going to be surprised if this card is like the last addition to people's decks, if added at all. And yeah, with that, that is every single yellow card that we are getting in the brand new Kaiju 8 set. If you guys didn't see, like I said, we have the green set uploaded already, as well as YuYu Hakusho breakdowns up. So definitely go check those out. Really appreciate you guys' support on these breakdowns. Again, I just like to put these out for one. It's kind of like me going over the sets for myself, as well as giving people a good idea as to, you know, if they're diving into the game for the first time, a good idea as to what the sets are looking like, etc. Just my thoughts on some of the cards. Oh, and another thing I wanted to mention, very curious, are you guys going to be running finals in the 3-cost deck? I haven't really looked at too many builds and haven't dived into other people's decks and thoughts on it much, but from what I'm seeing, because the 3-cost deck is trying to like not just cheat out cards, it doesn't need action point restanders too much, but it's trying to hit bodies more than anything. It doesn't want to whiff off of looking at finals. Very curious if this is going to be a card people cut down to like 3 or 2 of, or really just cut completely in the Kikoru deck. Very curious. But yeah, let me know where you guys think Kaiju 8 is going to be standing. Let me know what decks you guys are going to be building. If you're more excited for green or yellow, or if you think YuYu Hakusho is going to be standing out more than the 2. But yeah, either way, like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.